I did my studies in Morocco until high school, and then I went for engineering studies in Switzerland, where I got my first degree in electrical engineering from the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology. Then my PhD in the United States here, 2 states away from here, Pittsburgh, Carnegie Institute of Technology, now they call it Carnegie Mellon University. Got my PhD in long time ago, 1966.
In electrical engineering?
In electrical engineering.
MashaAllah. We have 4 or 5 electrical engineers.
Very good.
I'm also a PhD in electrical and computer engineering.
And then I taught at the University of Pittsburgh for a while. Before going to Saudi Arabia, where I helped build up this University of Petroleum Minerals in Bahrain. And I worked for a while in the field of energy. I have many books in that area, written in English. And many articles, hundreds of them, in the field of energy. That's my field. In other words, that's my bread. And that's business. My Islamic interest has been all the time, from the time I was student in Switzerland, in the area of Muslim minorities. I mean, the word, I'm going to define it later. I worked a lot in this area. I moved around the world, meeting Muslim brothers all across the world, trying to help them stand on their feet, organize themselves. So I have been very instrumental in organizing many communities, North, South America, Pacific, Africa, everywhere. And I wrote many books also in this area, in Arabic and English. One of them, maybe we will make some photocopies of out of them. They are in 3 or 4 times. You can circulate it around. What then is not there? Anyway, maybe I'll give it to Brother Jabbar to make some photocopies.
Yes, you can give it to me.
I don't have it. Already. Okay. This is one of the books in English. It's called Muslim Minorities in the World Today.
Okay. This is the Wilayat al-Iraq.
Well, reality. This is my only copy, and that's out of print. I cannot get any more copies, but they are printing a new version. It has been printed first in England, and now the Pakistani army printed the 2nd edition. It was out of print, and now a company in Lahore is printing a 3rd edition. Cheaper one, because this one is expensive. I think Wajid from Lahore.
Right now you live in Morocco?
I live in Morocco. I have been for a while, for about 8 years, Director General of Islamic Foundation for Science, Technology and Development in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. This is an organization which is affiliated with the Organization of Islamic Conference. In this I have done my part trying to bring together Muslim countries in the field of science and technology, work together. I am now Secretary General of Islamic Academy of Sciences, which is a scientific organization headquartered in Jordan. It is a non-government, self-governing organization gathering Muslim scientists. As a matter of fact, one of our members is in this area, Dr.Ali Kettani, top scientist originally from Bangladesh. We have people from all over the world. Since we believe that Islamic for the whole world, we don't talk about the Islamic world, we talk about the Islamic Ummah, which is wherever Muslims are. Now, my talk today will be on Muslim minorities, not only today, tomorrow, and maybe most of the time will be here. And when we talk about Muslim minorities, really we come across a very important subject, maybe not so important right now, but my purpose is really to point it out. Now let me tell you what I'm going to be talking about during this week. I'll be staying with you, maybe hopefully be giving 1 or 2 lectures every day. So to give you an overall idea. First of all, I would like to tell you what is minority. Today I will talk about what is minority in Islam. What does it mean minority for us? And what does it mean for us living in minority? What does it mean minority? Is it acceptable for for Muslims to be in minority, if it is acceptable on what conditions, and so forth and so on. And then to come to see how do Muslim minorities in the past and the present come to exist. And what is the dynamic of a minority? What will happen to it if people do what and so forth and so on. And then automatically we bring that. And this is, I will have to talk to you about, before going into specifics, about the da'wah. Da'wah, because these are really very important. Da'wah principle. Now, what is da'wah? What does it mean? In which aspect is it? Why is it that important to do da'wah? For the ummah and so forth. And I will give examples. Then that will bring in the overall view of Muslim minorities in the world. I can tell you from now, of course, that there is not a single country in the world where there is not a Muslim community. It's as simple as this. Muslim minorities in the whole world. And I will give outline examples and general idea to put in the picture. And what is important, and that is also a dynamic in Muslim minority. Dynamic of the Muslim minority is very important because nothing in life is steady state. People are born, grow and die, and the Muslim minority either grows or it collapses and disappears. What makes the Muslim community grow? What makes it disappear? What are the mechanisms of also on organization, Islamic institutions, etc. You cannot have a national minority that is completely steady state. You cannot. Either you grow or you shrink. And when I talk about dynamics, that is, you have to worry about forces in present, under normal circumstances and also under extreme circumstances. Under normal circumstances, what you have, for instance, in United States and Canada, regular assimilation that goes on, nibbling at the new coming generations and so on and so on. And active, let's say, forces of destruction, like what happens from time to time, sometimes in the extreme genocide, let's say, circumstances like what's going on right now in Bosnia, or what's happening going on in Myanmar, in Burma, etc. And then I would like to give specific examples. And I might talk about Bosnia itself because it's a living example. We have to know what the origins of the early should know. And then my talk about Spain. Spain has been Muslim for 800 years and now Islam is being resuscitated. And then I might talk about, you might be interested in America when you talk about North and South America, and other examples. This is a nutshell. So he will be the synopsis of what I'm going to be talking about. And I might be talking 1 hour for one subject or two, it all depends. Now, how much time do I have for each lecture?
For this lecture, we have 55, 8 to 8:55.
So I'll be talking for about 40 minutes. Let's say I'll be talking to maybe half an hour now, and leave about 15 minutes in every lecture for question answer. This way, there will be complete, dialogue, and I don't want to be the only speaker.
When is your next lecture, do you know?
I was told that I'll be teaching practically every day. So my next is
Today you have another lecture?
Today I think it's only this morning. It depends on the Jabbar, but then someday...
The second lecture is longer, 9 to 10:30.
Okay, I don't know what the arrangement, but I'll be with you up to the end of the course.
Alhamdulillah.
Alright, let's talk about what is in mind. Okay, is that it? Yeah, Bosnia, Soviet Union, I'll be talking about Soviet Union, so on, former Soviet Union. Now, what is a minority? And then what is a Muslim minority? If you pick up any dictionary, and you check the word minority, it's a word that I don't live with personally well, but since I cannot find a better word than this, I'm using it under quotation marks. minority always gives a sense of diminishing, under. It's practically what it is, but it's not necessarily all the time. But minority, pick up a minority. What is a minority? In the dictionary, just pick up and you see that a minority is a group of people that have some specific identification different from the rest, from the majority, and because of that specificity they are solidary and they are treated differently by the rest of the community. In other words, in the minority status you have three elements of very great importance. Three elements. One of them is the number. They are minority, number or influence, whatever, lesser than others. The second thing is the specificity. There is something that makes that minority different from others. I will say what is that something, categorize it. The third thing that is important is either they are aware of that specificity and they care about it and they want to defend it, that's important. Or others care about that specificity and treat them differently because of it. Alright? And the fourth thing is that they are treated differently because of the specificity. So, reduce number, specificity, they are solidary because of that specificity, and they are treated differently by the rest because of that specificity. Now obviously, that specificity can be anything. Anything. You name it. It can be, for instance, it can be physical. For instance, the color of the skin. If the majority thinks the color of the skin is a different color, for instance, people of majority are white and minority is black, and think that that specificity is important for them and treat people differently because of their color of skin, then automatically you have a minority that is different. You might have, I'll give you an example, you might have black people in the country but there is no minority. There is no black minority. I take my case of Morocco. Morocco, plenty of Moroccans. But you cannot, there is no way you can talk about that minority because you find another white, another black, etc. Nobody cares about it. It's not a specificity that is cared about. You know, that third condition is not there. Obviously, in a Muslim community, that's what happens. In a Muslim community, who cares about the physical specificity? So therefore, you cannot talk about the black minority in a Muslim community that is really Muslim in any way. You might have the specificity, culture, language difference. In other words, French in Canada, for instance. Why is it French in Canada in minority? Why are they minority? For one simple reason. Because they care themselves, not others. They care to defend that specificity. They want to keep speaking French. Whereas the others want them to start speaking English. They won't say it in many words, but practically that's what the tendency will be. Therefore you can talk about in Canada in French-speaking minority. Or in Belgium, not necessarily minority, but two minorities, that because of what is majority is the Flemish and the one French-speaking, one Dutch-speaking. Or the Basque minority in Spain. You can have differences in religious, culture. Where, for instance, I don't know, Protestants or Catholics in Northern Ireland. The Catholic, what makes the difference between the Catholic in Northern Ireland and the Protestant in Northern Ireland? They speak English, both of them, they're white, all of them. It's one are Protestant, the others are Catholic. And because they are Catholic, they have another view of history or another identity of themselves. Because the others are Protestants, they have a different view of history about different religions, and therefore, since the Catholics are minority in numbers, then the Protestants are looking down on them, and they have a tendency, the other thing is either to put them out of jobs, to put them out of minority is pain. And here I'm giving the example within the Christian religion. And you can name it. I mean, if people give importance, for instance, to weight or tall, you might have a fat minority, or a tall minority, or a big nose minority, or anything that is in it. So in the specificity area, it can be anything. And people have a fantastic tendency in dividing themselves ad infinitum into groupings of kinds. And therefore that brings us to a very specific point. I still do not come to this, to the problem of ethnicity. Now we talk a lot about ethnicity in the press. What is ethnicity group? What is a nation? What is a group? But I do not know what ethnicity group or nation. Ethnic groups come and go actually. Because ethnicity again is a cultural differentiation that differentiates from the other. That will make you feel that you are one people vis-a-vis to the rest. Assalamu alaikum. You want me? No problem. So that will make you feel different, that will make you feel us and them. Make you feel us and them. And I can give examples of ethnic groups that disappear and ethnic groups that come up. Just right here in the 20th century. You heard more of the problem of Yugoslavia about the Macedonians. That Macedonia want to get independence, they declare their independence, and the Greeks refused them to call themselves Macedonians. Now the question why? Why would the Greek object to the Macedonians to be called Macedonians? And who are the Macedonians? As a matter of fact, Macedonian ethnicity or nationality was created plus or minus after World War II by Tito to undermine the overwhelming influence of the Serbs, whose desire to take over all Yugoslavia made the federation shaky and impossible to stand together. So Tito was a very smart person, wanted to balance the thing, that's how he would balance. And he came to the south region that was claimed by Serbia that are Serbians, they are Slavic, they are Slavic, they are Greek Orthodox, so not the religion, they are Slavic, racial, same race. The only difference there was, they spoke a language that is, all right, the Serbians call it Serbians, but the Bulgarians call it Bulgarian. That was halfway between the Bulgarian and the Serbian, both of them Slavic languages. In other words, you might call it a dialect, a form of language. So, Tito called that language Macedonian, and established a Macedonian language academy, a Macedonian nationality, created a federal state for them, and used that language as the national language except the dialect, not the Serbian, not the Bulgarian. And it stuck, and created a Macedonian Orthodox Church, and it stuck. Because there was some peculiarity, of course, in these people, and they were happy to have it recognized. And therefore, you have the birth of a new nationality, of a new ethnic group, the Macedonians. So you could not tell. I mean, this is, you could say really that, in a way, Tito was genius, because he could see the difference and bring it up. Now, obviously, the Macedonians are not only in Macedonia. These people who speak this dialect between Bulgarian and Serbian are also in Bulgaria and in the Great Macedonia, which has as capital, which has as capital the city called Salonika. And the fear of the Greeks, because in their sentences, they do not recognize any other ethnic group in their country. They say every Greek Orthodox by religion is a Greek, what they feel. But in reality, those Greek Orthodox in Greek Macedonia are actually Slavic people who speak the same language as the Macedonians of Macedonia, and therefore the chances are that they will identify with this New Macedonia. So the Greeks don't want this Macedonia. They want to undermine it because they feel they own Macedonia, because they have a skeleton hidden in their club, in the world. There is an ethnic group in their own community that they do not recognize, even they don't recognize they do exist. Now coming to Muslim minority. Well, I get this Macedonia example because I'm coming to the relevant to Muslim minority. Well, a Muslim minority would be, as if I use the same definition as before, a group of people that live in a country where the greatest number of the people are different within in such point, in this point, that this group of people is Muslim and the greatest majority are not. But it's not enough for the group of people to be Muslim to talk about Muslim minority in that country. They have to be solidary because of the fact that they are Muslim. It is important for them, for the existence of a minority, of a community, of a Jama'ah, that Islam for them is relevant. They care about keeping it. For them to adopt, etc. This way they have a minority. If people in a country, let's say people in the United States, are Muslim but they don't care about it, just happen to be Muslim, or they consider it a personal matter. That's what they wanted to on this country. Personal matter. You leave it to them choose the religion they can choose. But we give it to them. Don't really let them free. In that case, we have no Muslim minority. You have no Muslim community. Of course, for those who don't like Muslim, there is no problem. See? And therefore, it is important, and we will see later, how to make Islam important and how to make the community solidary because of their Islam to make that Muslim minority.
And then the last one, solidarity.
Solidarity. That means I care that this, that I'm a Muslim, he's Muslim, I care about him. I think that we are us. Solidarity. Solidarity means it's everything that has to do with solidarity. Solidarity. To be in solidarity is to be solidarity. Together. To be us vis-a-vis the rest. To consider Islam as the relevant thing. Above language, color, national origin, everything is the relevant thing. Then you become. Otherwise, you are anything else. Islam is just part of it. Like having a big nose or taller than the rest of it. It's irrelevant because that makes sense. That it's not important to you. And therefore you don't try to make a community out of it. And therefore, this is a conditional condition, just like, as I said, in the definition of minority. And obviously because of the majority won't become aware of this specificity of being Muslim, and eventually, slowly, or nicely, or madly, or in crazy way, to remove it, they are treating automatically the Muslim community any different. I will explain later what is this different way. It doesn't have to be a nasty way, but the tendency will be to address minority. It's a natural effect. If the minority doesn't do anything about that specificity that Islam to defend it, with time, when I talk with time, I mean, with time one generation, it will go. Now we know what is a Muslim. Now the question is, who do we think is a Muslim? You know the statistics around who is Catholic? The one who goes to the church. The one who goes to the church. No. Under mandatory circumstances, really. What counts about anything? I don't want to go into the legal. I can't go into the legal, Sharia. But before anything, really, the breaking line, the limit of being a Muslim or not a Muslim is what is the identity. Anyone who says he's a Muslim and identifies with the fact that he's a Muslim and feels that he's part of the Ummah should and is and should be considered as a Muslim. Irrelevant how much he does practice. He just hopes that he practices be a better Muslim. In other words, Islam really is, to start with, is a matter of identity and iman. The one who says, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, says, I'm saying that. Then you have to accept. And therefore, I would define what is a Muslim minority. I define it in these terms. A Muslim minority is made up of a group of people who each one of them, who accept each one of them, La ilaha illallah Rasulullah, and consider themselves Muslim, and are solidary because of that fact. And they are small in number than the rest, and treated differently because of that difference. Now, obviously, Muslim minorities happen to exist all around the world. And now I would like to go into the next step before saying where are the Muslim minorities. What does it mean to be minority in politics? And here I have to go back to the principle. By definition, is a man or a woman, is a person in general who cares. In other words, being Muslim is in itself an activist action. You cannot be Muslim, really, true Muslim, passively. A Muslim is Muslim actively, because if you are Muslim, you have to have some minimum of taqwa. And what does it mean, taqwa? You have to weigh all your actions with respect to the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jalla. You cannot say, I'm a Muslim on Friday and forget it the rest of the day. You cannot be Muslim in the job and forget it at home. You cannot be Muslim at home and forget it in the street. You have to be Muslim in every moment of your life. This is point one. In other words, the Muslim is responsible. This is the principle of responsibility. Very good. In Islam, it says, in the hadith of Prophet ﷺ says, every one of you is a shepherd, and every one of you is responsible for his or her flock. And the Prophet ﷺ gave examples. The wife, the mother, the husband, the servant, the master, and so forth, and so on, everyone. And the eyes of Allah is how much we are dealing with our responsibility that we are terrified of ourselves. So, the second thing that is very important is that our relationship with our Creator is direct. I cannot say, well, I cannot do it, and then I can do this, Muslim what is law, but this is our government are laws. Well, the hell with our government. What are we doing? I cannot say that the great Sheikh of Al-Azhar or Mecca Mukarramah says that we have to follow him. No. You are responsible for your actions. If that Sheikh of Mecca or Al-Azhar take you astray, take you away from the right path, well, that's your responsibility. You followed him and you didn't stop and think. See, there is no church in Islam. There is no priesthood. We have no pope. And that's obviously clear. In other words, this is the greatness of Islam. In other words, out of the desire and the will of individuals, hundreds of them, thousands of them, millions of them, you made a community that is in brotherhood of most together. This is the thing. In other words, the Muslim community grows and moves the real burden from the roots and not by some kind of a man with a whip or a gun that makes people. And therefore, a man with a whip and a gun anywhere in the Muslim community is a dangerous man to watch and push up. And therefore, with these two responsibilities and their dream, with the clear effort, that is the time, the two limits of our actions. And as I'll be telling you later, the individual action or reaction eventually have the impact on the direction of the entire community of society. And what is the guiding line, of course? Every Muslim, the guiding line, it is not a person, it is the word of Allah Azza wa Jalla, the Quran, and the example of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Messiah of Allah, the Sunnah. What is the Sunnah? Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the Quran, walking, talking, there it is. You can't have somebody say, we have to the Quran, but we are caring about Sunnah. This man is a kafir. Because who is going to explain the Quran? Why Allah Azza wa Jalla sent Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Why Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did his way, the hard way? I mean, Allah Azza wa Jalla could have given him victory. Why should he be beaten, thrown out, the way? Because he is the example for all of us to follow. He is a human being. He's a human being, perfect human being, but he's a human being. I mean, we can think of tending to do like it because of what we asked to do. We might never reach, but we are really rewarded for the effort we are doing and doing. He is our God. And that's what makes the unity of the Muslims. Is that shining light of the Quran and Sunnah that makes you, him, and him, putting your eyes on it, and doing your own conscious, your own way of doing things, your own ability, etc., trying to live by it, that makes the community, Muslim community, a really strong community, united in spite of the fact apparently it might look disorganized or no leadership or so on, but actually it is united because the unity is not a man, the unity is the word of God. So, therefore, the word of God tells us, very important, the Prophet says that a Muslim should not accept willingly to be under. A Muslim is a free person. Every Muslim should struggle to fight for what is right and forbid what is wrong. كنتم خير أمة للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. And that's an individual. And this is an individual responsibility. Now obviously, as a fuqaha know that a Muslim would not willingly want to live under kafir law. Because if he lives under kafir law, that means even if he follows himself and defends himself, the chances are that he is putting his own children at risk. And since a Muslim is responsible, if my children are not Muslim, or the children of my children are not Muslim, or the children of the children of the children of my children are not Muslim, I'm bearing the responsibility to the day of judgment as long as I have offspring coming out of me that are not Muslim. This is the true responsibility. In Muslim, they're not, men or women do not create a family and have children and throw them in the wilderness and don't care. They have a responsibility over these children. An Islamic responsibility to make them grow. Or at least as good Muslim as the parents, preferably better Muslim than the parents. Now what's the situation of a Muslim in a minority situation? From sponsors? Well, let me put it this way. I will close here for this lecture. The only acceptable reason for a Muslim to be in a country where Muslims are in minority, they don't have the say, is in the hope, is to be a witness for Islam and to be a da'iyah for Islam. That make out of him, instead of somebody living under, yes, he will make out of him, or part of her, a torchbearer of Islam and an agent of the growth of Islam of this country, with the hope, and I will explain this later, that one day Islam will become the majority in the world. That is the only aim, acceptable aim for a Muslim community in a minority situation should have. Not to defend the minority, not to stay in minority, but one day the minority become a majority. After all Muslim communities in the whole world, even in those countries where they were 100% Muslim today, they started as including Saudi Arabia. Including, if my heart hurts, the whole body hurts with fever and pain. Therefore, it's a matter of obviously that any part of the Ummah that is hurt, the Ummah feels it. And it's an attack on the entire Ummah. So the idea of thinking of the Ummah as a majority country and minority country is a false impression. The Ummah is one. And it is universal. Therefore it belongs to the entire earth. And it happens that in some areas Muslims are a majority, in others they are a minority. Now, you can look at the Ummah in terms of this respect as concentric circle. As concentric circle. Unfortunately, I have no chalk, so but you visualize. As concentric circle, and the core circle, the inner circle, will be around the core. You might call this core area is the area where Muslims are sovereign. They are in majority. They have the possibility and the duty and the right to live their Islam in all aspects of life, private or public. This is code which you might call the Muslim world majority area. And then again we will talk very briefly on the problem today of the Muslim. Because how much of this code today really is fully independent and master and sovereign of this district? This is another story. Yet it's still compared to other areas, and still this is the code. Now, outside this code, there is another circle, concentric circle, where you can see is the areas of Muslim minority. In other words, these are the Muslim minorities that are Muslim, that are trying to keep their Islam, but they happen to be in countries and areas where they are more or less minoritarian. In other words, they cannot really fulfill their Islam completely in all aspects of life, because they are sharing with the other, and in other words, they will have to live as much as possible their Islam in all the spheres of life. I will talk about this later. There is another circle around this one. This is very important circle. That is not mentioned. Often it is not even mentioned. I would call it the circle of residual Islam. What does that mean? That means those populations who have been Muslims in the past, and through the vicissitudes of time and the oppression and destruction, any appearance of Islam has been completely lost. But somehow some residual Islam remains in their heart. In this you can place particularly the entire African community of the Western Hemisphere. In this you can place the entire Andalusian population of South Africa. In this you can place the Sicilian population and even the population of Calabria. In this you can place the people of Crete. And I discovered hundreds of communities around the world, and I will mention some of them, And then there is no need to have thousands of immigrating to have after 200-300 years, let's say, residual Islamic community. For instance, I met a family in Melbourne, Australia, who are not Muslim, but we have a soft corner for Islam because their ancestors, 100 years ago, was a Turkish Muslim. This family with 200 coming from one, certainly has a residual Islamic. And our circle, those who have never come to the teachings of Islam whatsoever. Because we Muslims should believe that the entire humanity is the Ummah of Sayyidina Muhammad. Because Sayyidina Muhammad has been sent to the entire humanity. So we have here four areas. The core, the majority, the next circle, Muslim minorities. Next one are those communities with residual Islam and Muhammad. And the outer circle, those who really never had any Islamic. Now, the struggle between right and evil, where it goes most, where the enemies of Islam attack to destroy the Ummah of Sayyidina Muhammad, where is the fight going? Is obviously in the area where they can win better. The struggle does not go in areas where Islam is residual. It goes, but it's marginal. May Allah attacking Islam better, name Islam, wise, and so forth and so on. But that makes, even because where Islam is residual is hidden, you can't see it. You really have to do research to find it out. Even in all arguments, people have nothing to do with Islam in activity. The fight is where the Muslims are Muslim, but they are relatively defenseless. Is in that second circle. We'll call the next one. And it's where the minorities are in danger of being wiped out again and again. And then the tendency of the enemies of Islam. If you have this circle, second circle, third circle, and fourth circle, is to squeeze the circles down, squeeze them in. One, two, three, four. You know what? The tendency of the enemy of Islam is to squeeze the circle in. Their hope is to make all the circles fall in one point, eliminate Islam. That does mean that they have a tendency to remove any residual Islam from those who have any residual Islam in it. Next, to reduce Muslim minorities into formal Muslims with residual Islam. To reduce Muslim majorities into minorities. And with the aim to eliminate altogether. What is the job of we Muslims to do? Is to expand the circle outside. Until this 1, 2, 3, 4 circles become one here, encompassing the entire humanity. This is how we see today that most of the communities that do exist around the world are a combination of 2 or 3 of the 3. And if we calculate the number of Muslims in the world, about 1,200,000,000 people approximately, about a third of them are in minority situations. That is, makes something like 400 million people. I would like to say that in some countries, all the Muslims are in majority numerically. They are practically in minority because they are not having the power over their own destiny. An example, for instance, in Ethiopia. Muslims in Ethiopia are minority.
nowhere in the establishment. Why? Because Ethiopia was established with the help of European powers as an anti-Muslim state for the Christians. And he conquered Muslim land and Muslim kingdoms, and they would a majority, although a majority, but they have been persecuted against. Nowadays, maybe there is a little bit change for the better, but not much. If we look at examples where, I repeat what are the three ways Muslim community come into being. Either through movement, through acceptance of Islam in a place where there was no Islam, or through movement of population from a Muslim majority area to a Muslim minority area, willingly or unwillingly, or through the conquest of Muslim countries and incorporation of that country into a larger unit, and the people become minority in their own. For instance, in the first example, you can put, let's say, many islands in the Caribbean. You have Muslims in Barbados, in Grenada, most of them are really converted to Islam. In other words, there was no movement of population anywhere, or there was no conquest. Most of the time, or Bahamas and so on, communities start that some students will go, or workers somewhere in the United States, accept Islam, and he goes back and they start teaching Islam, and you have a community. Island of Tonga, classic, like that. Papua New Guinea, and so forth. Other example where, and I remind you that Islam started like this, to start with the Prophet in Mecca. So it's a fantastic achievement to start from scratch, nowhere, and to end up having a community right in the country where they were from. In second case, when you have a movement of population, for instance, your first Muslim community in American continent was by the movement of African Muslims from the African continent to America by force. It was not their choice, they didn't want to come here. But to oppression and destruction, etc., that community died out. The last rebellion of that Muslim community was in 1835, 1840 in Brazil, where the African Muslims were able to free themselves, establish an Islamic state in Brazil that lasted for 4 or 5 years until it was destroyed with blood and fire, and many of the African Brazilians had to immigrate back to Africa, and others remained, but Islam after that was prohibited. And if you go to the state of Maya, you find a lot of residual Islam, much more than here. Much as a matter of fact, you would say you find what they call secret Islam. Many of them practically they're still Muslim and they are coming up. Third example, for instance, is another example of movement of population that is really forced, is the indentured laborers, where slavery was abolished. The hypocritical colonialists of Western Europe imagined another way to take the work of people by force. And this is what is called indentured labor. In other words, you go and make people, make them work for nothing, just for food, and eventually, after many years of work, they will have to pay for their way back. Most of the time, they cannot pay for their way back, and so it's really not much different than slavery. And these people were brought from India or Java, and that's communities we have now in Trinidad, in Guyana, in Suriname, in Fiji Island, in South Africa. In South Africa, not all of it. One of them is originally slavery, like Cape Town. They were originally from Java, and the other one is indentured labor from India, like we have in Durban and Johannesburg. Mauritius, for instance. Another category is free movement of Muslims moving, either from another Muslim minority or from a Muslim majority area. We have a tendency to think that it is a new thing. Actually, it's an old thing. For instance, one of the oldest free movement of Muslims from Muslim majority to Muslim minority happened in northeastern Europe, where the armies of Poland and Lithuania, the kings of Poland and Lithuania, wanted the Muslims to come and fight in their armies because they were good soldiers, and in exchange they gave them the daughters of their noblemen to marry, and they protect them as Muslims. Now the Muslims of Poland today, 13th, 14th century. Now the 15th, all about okay. Now the Muslims of Poland and of Lithuania, they are by any purpose, they look Lithuanian, they speak Lithuanian and Polish, the Polish one. Why? Because it was the ancestral country were only in the head. So out of 1-2 generation of local women, they really become completely absorbed in the local soil, but they kept them. So the origin of the population, this population is back. In modern day, these numbers are becoming bigger and bigger as the colonies have received their independence, and the economy was in such a bad shape, people start moving to where they can get jobs and education, and that's how a big number of people coming from Muslim countries come to the United States and Western Europe. The Maghrebis in France, the people from the Indian subcontinent in England, the Turks in Germany, and so forth and so on. Of course, you have old immigration and newer immigration. For instance, the Syrians and Lebanese started immigrating both in North and South America by the turn of the century. So you might have many communities who are already second, third, fourth generation. Some of them are lapsing from minority to residual Islam. Many of them already. Now, if you look at the number, you will have minorities that are numerically as numerous as more than 100 million people. China has more than 100 million, 20 million Muslims. India has more than 120 million Muslims. The former Soviet Union had something like 70 million. Now as it broke up and 6 Muslim republics got their independence, you still have a big Muslim minority in Russia, in fact, the state of Russia, which is about 12 million Muslims. 12 million Muslims in Russia. And the Muslims of Russia, most of them, even those who are Russia, forget about those who are got their independence now, are originally Muslim states that were conquered. The oldest conquered Muslim state was the Tatar of Kazan. These were conquered in 1553. And their mosque was destroyed, their imams were butchered, and they were forced into Christianity. It's a fantastic survival to see them Muslim today, and even declaring their independence, although nobody wanted to recognize it. This is, if you look at the map, right north from the east of Moscow, on the Volga River, is the Tataristan. It's an autonomous republic in Russia. Some of the Muslim states, they don't have any identity whatsoever nowadays. Like the kingdom of Astrakhan. Astrakhan, it's in Russia, on the river Volga, right on the Caspian. It was the capital of the Muslim states by the name of Hajj Turkhan. And the name of Hajj Turkhan became Astrakhan. But still, majority of the Muslim population of that town now is Muslim. And they established the Islamic party of Russia. The third kingdom that was taken over is the name of the kingdom of Casimir, which is the east of Moscow. And the fifth one, that is Crimea. Crimea was the center of a big Muslim state of more than 1,000. Crimea now that belongs to Ukraine, where there is a fight between Ukraine and Russia over it. Why? Because of its strategic position, and both countries want to control the fleet of the But its resistance to the onslaught of Russia broke down in the year 1776, and it was conquered. And then the some misery began to think. People were bushel, kicked out from the ground, and there was a flow of immigration going up. Until then the Crimean War, last century, destroyed completely that area. And then eventually many communists took over, recreated the Autonomous Republic for them. But by that time, they were reduced to no more than 25% of the population, because they brought Russians and Ukrainians to take over the country. But the biggest tragedy of them all was done by Stalin. After World War II, exactly 1944, just before the end of the war, Stalin accused the Crimean Tatars and other Muslim population of collaboration with the Germans. It was a lie. And what did he do? Here, right now in the 20th century, what did he do? He decided to punish the entire population. Now we're not talking about 2,000 years before Christ. We're talking about 20th century. He moved out the entire Muslim population of Crete, 1940. To Siberia and Central Asia. Half of them died and they put them in the cattle train. And half of them died on the way. Now when Khrushchev came, and then what did he do in Crimea? He destroyed the entire cultural remnants of that Muslim people. He burned on the public places their books, so he would erase their memory. He did that grave, so nobody would come and say that they were any Crimeans here. And he changed the name of all towns and villages, rivers, mountains. But these people stopped fighting, kept fighting, to return back to their homeland. And obviously, he brought Russians to take them. But Allah has his way. In 1956, when Khrushchev came, he absolved them of the supposed crime they had done. He said, no, they didn't commit any crime. It was a lie. No, they did not cooperate with them. But he forbade them to come back to their home. They stay where you are. Now we give your land to other people. We can't remove them. And whenever Crimeans just trickled back, they were military by force removed and sent back. But Allah wanted Soviet Union broke up. And there was a fight between Russia and Crimea over and Ukraine over Crimea. The Ukrainians, the Russians majority in Crimea, they wanted to join with Russia. Ukraine didn't like that, obviously. So they said, after all, it's not your territory, it's the Crimean Tatar territory. And they encouraged and supported the Crimean Tatar. Alhamdulillah, now about 200,000 already will come back. And hopefully about 400,000 more will come. So here, a nation that has been destroyed, scattered, after 50 years, it's coming back like a sphinx. Western Europe now has a big Muslim population. In other words, Islam in Europe exists in two areas of greatest importance. The old community, these people who become Muslim in 14th, 16th, up to 16th century, in Bulgaria, Yugoslavia, and Hungary, Greece, Romania, Poland, and Western Europe, which was clear of any Muslim presence until the 20th century, and where now that they have millions of Muslims. And the new phenomenon is going on. In this territory, it is really the great, large conversion of local youth, local people to Islam. France alone might have more 200,000 Frenchmen that have Muslims. not the least. You come from all walks of life, from scientists to artists to singers to unit. It's really a phenomenon that is unique. Now, why the attitude, such a frightening attitude toward Islam? Because those enemies of Islam in the West lie to themselves and then they believe their own lies. When they tell us that there was no Islam left anymore in Eastern Europe, in Yugoslavia, when you look at all statistics, they will tell you there is 1 million Muslims in Yugoslavia, or they will tell you 500,000 in Yugoslavia, or there were no more Muslims in Albania. They were gone, become communists. It's a lie. It's not by a stroke of pen that you can remove the Iman of Islam from the heart of Islam. There's no way. So when communism went away, Albania became a majority Muslim country. It's 85%, 90% of the population of Albania is Muslim. And here a Muslim state right there in the middle of it. Well, maybe they could accept one little state like Albania. When Yugoslavia broke up, then they discovered, to their utter surprise, that more than one state of the states of Bulgaria is Muslim majority or near majority. Bosnia and Herzegovina, Muslims are there more than 60%. Although in the papers they will tell you still 42%. Because put them together, they will tell you 30% Croats, 31% 13 and 31, what is it? 44%. Alright? And then tell you 42% or 43% Muslim. What the rest? I didn't read anywhere that there was some whole nationality. Even when they lie strictly. And now, then you see this again. What happened in the Middle Ages in Spain? The destruction, genocide of the whole people. What happened in 1944, not only to the Crimean Tatar in the Soviet Union, but to the Chechen Ingu, to the Meskhet, to about 10 Muslim nationalities being destroyed like this. It's happening under our eyes nowadays. Here the Serbians, with the help of all Christianity, coming to a Muslim nation that is not allowed to arm itself. There is an embargo against them. They butcher them, destroy them, do whatever Hitler did. And yet, the whole world is keeping quiet about it. Where are the human rights? What credibility would we have with Muslims when they come and knock down at Hitler? Here we have another Hitler, why don't you stop him? You're talking about the New World Order. You follow one measure in one country and another measure in another. Where is it? This is the weakness of the West, and this is the greatness of Islam. The weakness of the West is a civilization based on hypocrisy. The Muslims, we want for everyone what we want for us. Islam is the only system of life. I will not call it religion because it's not religion. It's everything. You can't translate deen. Islam is a deen. It's not religion. Because religion has a meaning of secular, Islam is everything. There is no way of life. There is no deen. There is no system that protects among, in this space, those who do not believe in it, except Islam. Now, wherever Islam arrived, there are communities that didn't believe in it. They survived. They were protected. When Muslims were power of the world, who would have stopped the Muslims from getting rid of all the Serbians when ruled that place? No one. So if the Serbians do exist, they should be thankful to the Muslims. Why? Because there is no that gravity. Because in our own belief, there is no consensus. And they don't want to believe. As a state, Muslim state, you have to protect it. And with it. Now when Muslims come under the rule, my God, you see all miseries, most of the Muslim community that come under their rule, have been butchered, killed, destroyed, finished. a Muslim majority country in 19th century. What? Crete was a Muslim majority island in the 19th century. And it was the only big Greek-speaking Muslim population. In other nations they have destroyed. Now you will not find a single Muslim leader. You go to Crete, you will find masajid all over the world. There are houses, dancing, cafeterias, etc. Most of the time, because they have a hatred for minorities, they cut off the minorities. But too much of a sin. Now, I would like to say also that the world today is becoming more chunk, more small, and therefore there is no way you can stop Christians of fighting. And we Muslims, we say, well, sincerely, I mean, we are misunderstood. We don't want supremacy because our supremacy is to Allah. We don't want power because of our power. We want only to be Muslims and have the freedom and the ability to present the mission to all those who care to know about it. And we want people to have the freedom to become Muslim if they want to, with no question. This, what we want, is written in the constitutions of all the countries of the world today. Yet, they all violate their own constitutions when it comes to Islam. And now, I would like to talk for a while about how this circle is being squeezed down and what we should do to squeeze it out. In other words, what are the forces of the Muslim minority that will make it disappear if nothing is done about it? And a human society cannot be in a steady state. A human society, a human being, there is no steady state. Either you grow or you shrink. You cannot be happy with your situation and say, well, I have what I want, I stay there. The chances are that forces will put you down. Unless you try to go up, you will need to go down. And I would like, before I start saying that what are the forces that needles that eat up at the community to make it disappear? And how to counter this force. But before you say that, what are these forces? Then I would like to say that it is a duty of us, of course, not when I say us, to counteract these forces in an intelligent way. And what's the purpose of my, this is the purpose of my talk. And I will be seeing you after the next, somebody else giving the talk, and then me again. Right. So we'll have most of the morning. I will close now here, and then maybe some questions. We have 5 or 6 minutes. Say, please get out of here, we'll help you to get to Crete. At that time, Crete was deserted. So they moved to Crete and they established a Muslim kingdom. By the time, after 1 century time, practically the entire population became Muslim. And Candia, which is the capital of Crete, is the Arabic word for Khandak. It's one of the Khandak, which means the trench. It was the capital, which is near the Palace of Knossos. You heard of it. Now later, they were conquered by the Byzantines. And they were forced into Christianity. And I have account of travelers who went there during the Muslim period and who were there by even there after the Muslims were persecuted. This time they were persecuted. Many. In the 15th, eventually it was conquered by the Danish. And in the 15th, 16th century, it was taken over by Ottomans. So a lot of people who were originally Muslim, Islam, come back to Islam, and by the 17th, 18th century, majority of people were Christian. Now, when in the 19th century, when the Ottoman Empire became very weak, when it became very weak, the Western power started financing the revolts, and there was butchery of Muslims. The state couldn't defend them, they couldn't defend themselves, they started immigrating, leaving the island. The percentage by the end of the century fell to 25% from majority, and eventually they declared the Crete an independent state for Muslims and Christians. Eventually, in 1908, Greece took over the island and became part of our. Now, by that time, Muslims were persecuted even more, and their percentage was reduced to 8%. Now, in 1922, there was an agreement of exchange of population between Greece and Turkey. In other words, they agreed that Greece will send all Turks to Turkey and by boat, and Turkey will send all Greeks to Greece. And so the Greeks took advantage and kicked out even the Greek Muslims. And they kicked out all the Cretan Muslims and reduced the Muslim population to zero. That's how it happened. Yeah.
My question actually was for the next lecture because you said that you were going to cover this.
Yeah.
It's I know that I don't like conspiracy theories. We talked about this before.
Yeah.
But there's a certain conspiracy.
Yeah.
I wanted to know to what extent that this Zionists have a plan against the Muslims and also the Masons. I don't know very much about the Masons.
I don't believe in conspiracy theory either, but I believe in forces. In forces I pray. And I will explain when I mention how these lines are squeezed. It's obvious. I mean, I have a book here that I found right in the library. If not in a vain, the story of North African mission. How much effort now this is today, how much effort is made to Christianize North Africa. And millions put in their song. Although this is get 10 Christians Christianized, yet they are putting it. In other words, the Christian word is out there to historical struggle between Christianity and Islam. It's a fact. For them, Islam is a half nut to crack. If they don't look nicely, I mean, it's an error. I think it's an error. We can get understanding, we can get together, but apparently not all of them see it that way. This is not a conspiracy, this is open. There are forces that go and colonize this country. There are forces that go and interfere in the democratic process like what happened in Nigeria. This is not story, this is a fact. There is this control of the economic, etc. This is a fact. And then there is other thing that is the natural forces of society, social forces. I mean, you have a small group in the midst of a big group. By natural thing, the small group will have a tendency to copy the big group. You live in a society. You have children, for instance. You are the only Muslim in your neighborhood. And your children want to be friends with the neighbors. It's a human. If you don't do nothing about it, they would like to go to church with them, they would like to be baptized, This is the social forces of assimilation. There is no conspiracy there. I mean, people are friendly, nice, good neighbors, nothing wrong with them. But then you would disappear nevertheless if you don't do them. These are the things that are to discuss.
Perhaps in the next class then, what's your prognosis on the Bosnia-Herzegovina situation? everything could happen in the future.
Well, tell you the truth, talk about this. You know, this is not the first time. Unfortunately, we Muslims, we have very short memory. We should study history. We should study history of the peoples of nations. History, not history anyway. History of nations, of movements. I'll give you the example of what happened to six nations in Soviet Union, just 1944. Destroyed completely and right in the 20th century. In the beginning of the century, Clayton Muslims destroyed completely. So they want really to finish out this Muslim Bosnian nation. There's no doubt about it. That's their aim. If nothing is done about it, because that's a declaration of defeat. The forces that are enemies of Islam, and there are many apparently are. There is hope, we see it. They see that they couldn't take a strong Muslim state. 5 million people, 50,000 square kilometers, right in the half of it. And the encouraging the Serbians to freedom. Now, if nothing is done about it, that's what we will do. They will scatter from all over the place, they will become refugees, they will absorb the city, and finish no more Serbians, no more Muslims. But there are three things going on for the Bosnians. First of all, their Islamic identity is unwavering. They're fighting as Muslims, they're going back to Islam. One of the good things that happened to them in this world, and many things that's going on, that they were really practically assimilated. 20% of the population is really intermarried with Croatians. There was no difference. They have the same race, the same language, the same... Now they start saying, they are doing this world as well Muslims. So we are Muslims. So that Islam will be come back, it was not there. So they start learning the Islam, they were praying, they weren't. See, so that's why there are so many of them, the people thought they are Abadiyyin, but they keep on living going, they keep on existing, fighting. So maybe 60, like I said, out of 4.5 million, maybe there are 3 million Muslims right there. The second thing is that they are united. They are better off even than our Afghan brothers. They're not 10 parties, they're one democratic Muslim party. And the third thing is they are willing to fight. They are not chicken. And they are fighting against the real odds. I mean, it's a miracle that we're still fighting. And so I have a deep feeling, and they are very tough doing these problems, that inshallah they will overcome. But then, it's our duty, the whole Ummah to support. Now they say we need only money. We buy arms, defend ourselves. We don't need anybody. Or is it need the volunteers, they should have refugees. We should not allow Bosnia to be destroyed. Okay, see.
Anyway, this library has several copies of this book on freeness and
let's take 10 minutes and get back for the next session will be